Okay, well, good day, everybody. I'm really excited to do this interview today with Kevin Dean. You know, most of the time I'm interviewing a lot of internet consultants, but Kevin's been around a little bit longer than me, actually 1 month longer than I have in this franchise. So, Kevin, I'm really looking forward to, listening to you share your story with WSI, and I think, we'll have quite a lot to say, being around this long and see how it looks. So, welcome to the show today.
Well, and it's nice to see you again, Francois, and thank you for taking the time with me. I appreciate it.
Excellent, excellent. So let's get off to it. Tell us a little bit about where you are and a little bit about yourself.
Well, as of today, I'm in downtown San Jose, California. It's a beautiful day. It's supposed to be mid-80s here in March, which is a little bit warmer than normal, but we'll take it. It's wonderful. And I've been in California for over 20 years now.
Okay.
And we moved to downtown San Jose as a ability to kind of adult. Our son graduated from high school and we said, well, let's move out of the country and into the city. And then a little while later, COVID hits, and that changes how everything happens downtown.
Right.
But things are opening up here. People are healthy, businesses are thriving, and so we're hopefully getting back to normal soon.
Excellent, excellent. And tell me, how did you, a little bit about like what you did before you started, and then what made you think in those times, like when did you start this business?
2003.
2003, wow. And I think we're talking, and you're in October and I was in November, so we've been around for 19 years.
Yep.
That's a good length of time to be in business, right? I think
it really is, especially for small business. But I kind of felt like I feel like I'm a dinosaur at times, where I really only worked for 2 companies in my professional career.
Wow.
Over the first 20 years of my professional life, I was in electronics, semiconductor manufacturing.
Right.
And I started as an engineer and moved up through the ranks of management and production, and swapped companies after 12 years, and then worked at that company for 7 more, ended up being vice president of operations. And then the semiconductor industry hit a bump. We were decimated and I got laid off. And so I took the summer painting the house, kind of interviewing, tapping with people that I had met before, and kind of decided that, I wanted to do my own thing.
Right.
So I had tried to originally brand myself as a consultant within the semiconductor industry, but cutbacks were so steep they weren't even hiring consultants, at least for what I was doing at that time. And so I was looking at business to buy, which were, a lot of them were struggling and in trouble, and then starting up my own. And that's when I honestly stumbled onto WSI. I honestly don't remember submitting a hey, call me thing. I got a call one afternoon from Denise Hugaboom. That was her maiden name at the time.
Right.
And so we started talking about it, and the transition took a couple of months trying to understand what WSI was. Was that the type of industry that I wanted to go into? But what appealed to me about the concept was a couple of things. One was that the business is easier to brand when you have a brand. And that was one of the things that I was struggling with, creating Kevin Dean Enterprises or Kevin Dean Consultancy.
Right.
And then the second part was that in 2003, the internet was still in infancy stages as far as I'm concerned. There was email and websites and things like that, but nobody really knew the direction that it was going on. And after I had gotten laid off from industry, I said, the internet probably won't lay me off. I may mess it up, but it's not going to lay me off because it's just going to continue to grow. So based on, my background, my father influenced me a lot as far as entrepreneurship. He went through a number of businesses, both starting, closing, successful, unsuccessful. I remember growing up, and some days it was great, and other days it's like Dad comes home and says things aren't so good. But after working 20 years in an industry for bosses, though I learned an awful lot, I thought I could do a better job.
Right.
So the opportunity appealed to me and we jumped at it.
I know you talk about it was just websites, and I remember often, we'll talk about it a bit later, that this is a never-ending learning experience. When you and I started, Google wasn't around, that.
Nope.
It was Yahoo that we were trying to go into the directories. Certainly Facebook, LinkedIn, none of the social media around, and you're buying into a business and you're thinking this is the internet without realizing what's coming down the road later, and it's just...
You have no idea. And even at that time, most of us weren't tapping into the internet. I had never created a website at the time. I had never really thought about how one was put together. I just knew that they were there, right? And so you're right. It was Yahoo, it was Excite, it was Netscape.
That's right. We really showing our age, but definitely. And everybody thought, well, do I need a website? Is this important? And today, I think our clients, they're on their 15th website, because they just realize that it's something that's just dynamic.
Yeah, I've had one of the things I remember walking into a store and talking to him about it. And he goes, no, the internet still not here yet. I don't think it's going to be good for 15 years. So come back then.
That's really great. So it's been a long road. And if you think about the franchise and WSI, sort of what are the biggest value that you feel you've got, especially we've both been around here a while?
I think the value has evolved over time. Definitely the primary thing is the network. If I have questions, if I need help, if I'm looking for partnership in a project or something, I can reach out to not only the most experienced guys, but what I find is that some of the folks that are coming into the franchise because of their previous lives offer a lot of information and insight that is really valuable. Yeah. And honestly, I do look at the value that it offers me. Every year I do okay, is this what I want to do? There's nothing in it that is financially prohibitive from quitting if I wanted to do that. Mm-hmm. It's more, is it something that I like getting up in the morning and starting my day and finishing my day? And I like to go to work, and for 19 years, I'd like to go to work. So I think that's a good thing to have.
That is a good thing. I've got to say, I love what I do. I think I used to enjoy what I did in corporate until I got thrown out because I think...
I was there, yeah, I hear you.
This is really great. Oh, I'm not there anymore. Let me look after myself. and just starting something and I think what kept me going, and certainly, you're in California, nice and sunny. I'm in South Africa. We're in the bottom end of the world, right? And here I'm starting a business with everybody in North America, and I'm just wondering, how's it even going to work? How am I going to get to know more about the business? And I've been very fortunate in just using the network, so I embraced it and worked with meeting people like you and Chuck and Ron Edelman in those days, and all the guys that have been around, and they were so open to sharing ideas and helping that every time I came back from a conference in those days, I almost doubled my business because of the ideas that I heard and the way that it was happening, sort of in the US, rather than here, which was like, WSI, internet, what is this?
It's true. It's very true. And and I always like the gatherings as well, because the ideas that other people have, the experiences that they can offer, the ability to look at it at maybe a different angle, as well as supplying resources, because if you also go back, think about the different website builders that we had and the crude tools that we were able to get, and the research that wasn't available, and Google Ads just coming online in 2005, and all of these things that were just cutting edge. And it's like, okay, well, let's give it a whack. Let's see how it goes.
Exactly. And you weren't alone in it. Like if you try to do it on your own, the learning curve is really steep. And, so being able to just draw on the network and other people made you feel, you feel confident. And the thing is, we join each other many occasions, on projects, to help. And I think that's just an amazing thing about how this franchise works. We're not competitors, we actually help one another.
Well, one of the things that I often mention is that this industry is an easy industry to get into, and it's a hard one to stay in.
Right.
Because here in Silicon Valley, everybody is an expert at something, right? And so shortly after I had started in 2003, we're surrounded by the big companies. Some of them aren't big anymore, like Cisco and some of those others. Yeah. And they went through some massive layoffs. And all of a sudden, there's an internet marketing company popping up under every rock, every tree, because people said, oh, I can do that. I can do SEO. I can build websites. I can do whatever. And so as I was out marketing, people are saying, well, I've got like 5 offers from people who used to work at Cisco and some of these other places. Right. And I said, okay, well, where are they going to be in a year or two when the economy rolls back around? And they're not there anymore. And I ended up picking up a number of clients after that wave because as projected, these people went back into their corporate lives as things picked up. And some of them couldn't make a go of it because they did not have that support. They didn't have the ability to lean on someone to share ideas, because then everybody's a competitor. So it really does make a difference.
Now you coined it there where you say it's easy to get into and difficult to stay in. I think it's really is. It's the first time I've heard that, and when he said it, I'm thinking, to stay in, you have to stay up to date, right? And you have to be relevant, and that alone says you just got to be prepared to learn and move with everything.
Well, one of the caveats that I've always shared with new folks coming into the network is there's a balance, right? You should not wait until you know everything before you start talking to customers or prospects. Within a short amount of time, very short, it might be 3 newsletters worth, you know more than 90% of the people you're going to talk to. Every once in a while, you're going to run into someone who has more experience or believes they have more experience or have worked into something. But for the most part, your confidence should build early because you know partly where the answers are. You know what some of the considerations are within business, and you're able to assess better than what the customer can. And that's where a lot of the value comes in, is that you don't need to know everything. Early on, I was doing some mentoring for a lot of folks, and it was a little bit after the stage, but one of the common traits that folks that failed were that they felt that they were unprepared. They needed to know more. They needed to know more. So they would take courses, they would take certifications, and they never talked to a prospect. And that's where your business is going to die, because you don't have any sort of pipeline. You don't have an income stream.
That's right.
And so you've got to get out there with what little you know, because believe it or not, you know more than most anybody knows anyway.
Very true. Very true. But, and you normally find it's the technical people with that background, they're afraid to step there because they were an expert, they know it. Now you're selling something and you don't know it all, but you do know more than the others. It's a very good example. So Kevin, you've been around 19 years. What's your typical work week look like? Because I know the new RCs, there's a lot of prospecting going on to get it going. But like you and me, I'm sitting here with a view of the beach and the lagoon down here, and my business is sort of running quite well on referrals. But it's busy. But how do you spend your week? Typically in the business.
Well, it's evolved over time. I was the only one in the business for the first 17 years or so. And I came upon a point in time in life where I could ride off into the sunset, let the business run itself, and prospect a little bit, keep it flat, enjoy the income. Or what I could do is try to build an agency and get to the point where at the end of my career that I could sell it for a greater value than just the book of business.
Right.
And so about 2 years ago, that's what I decided to do. So I brought on some employees, started training for sales. And this was in the midst of COVID that I made this brilliant decision, but it actually gave us time because I was able to get an SBA loan and was forgivable over 6 months and a lot of different things that allowed us for financing. But now I've got 5 employees And one of the things that I really enjoyed in my previous life in tech was training.
Yeah.
And so bringing on folks. So I didn't hire people that knew digital marketing. I brought people who were people, someone that I would like to spend time with, someone that could relate to customers.
Yeah.
I figured I could teach them digital marketing, similar to what we just talked about. Within a short amount of time, you're going to know more. But I needed people to be able to go out into the streets and meet folks more aggressively than I could over time. I'm not a born salesman. I don't thrive on cold calling. I needed help there if I was going to continue to grow.
Right.
So I did two things: is I put in sales and I put in infrastructure. And luckily, I'll call it luckily, is I was even able to hire my son as a project manager. And so he works in New York City. Yeah. I'm here in California. My sales team is scattered. I have 2 assistants, and then we work with a lot of the folks within the WSI realm still to this day, suppliers that have been involved with us for years. Yeah. I've got quite a little infrastructure. Excellent. And my goal is to continue to try to grow it to the size when either I get tired or that those days come when you don't want to do it anymore and you want to check out, but I have something of value.
Yeah. That's excellent. I've been doing this, and I think I'm getting there for sure. The next 3 years, I'll be out, out of being the main person in the business. I will still want to do this. I'm not ready to just fish or whatever. I enjoy it, but I want to do the training because, you've met me in training sessions before and that. And we've been hiring youngsters out where I am, and that's what we do. We're training them up, giving them an opportunity, to grow in the business. So definitely, I think as you get older, in the business, you got to look at continuity. And many of us have looked at it and say, well, does the business die with us, or are we leaving something behind? And certainly, Neil Lappy is the one that we were in Jamaica many years ago, and he said, you have to sell $1 million business. That's what he said. You've got to build it to $1 million, otherwise there's no point. And and that was the motivating factor. Like you just do the stuff Neil was saying, and let's just build this business. And hopefully, as you say, you can check out when you need to, or you can relax a bit.
Yeah, what I found is that there is value in a book of business. There's no doubt about it. But the value multiplies when an owner or a buyer wants to come along and have something that's already running.
Exactly.
Right. So, and I do foresee at some point in time stepping back, taking more time for myself. I enjoy what I'm doing. Yeah. I'd like to play more golf, but I can't do it 7 days a week. Yeah. And you have other hobbies and things, but this keeps you ticking. It keeps you thinking. Absolutely. And I like creating systems. I like working with the people that we've hired. I like reaching out to customers. And so why would I change that? If you enjoy what you're doing, it's not really work.
Got to want to come to work. I think that's the best thing. Otherwise, you're not going to be happy.
Exactly right. Yeah. Exactly right. Now you have crappy days. Yeah. Everybody does. Oh, yeah. But if you understand it and it washes off your back the next day and you're back with a smile, then that's really important.
Perfect. So have you got any highlights to share with us? You've been around a while, so just within the network, things that, were just great to be part of or achieve?
We did win. We won an award one year for advertising excellence. We had a large client. They started, it was called World Golf Tour, and it's still out there. I met the gentleman. He was referred to me. It was a little 9-hole online golf game. And over the years, we helped them build it to the largest trafficked golf website in the world.
Wow, wow, that's amazing.
So that was very, very fun. And then and that actually really helped me cut my teeth on Google ads, SEO, the use of different types of approach. And because at one point in time, they were spending over $100,000 a month in Google Ads, we had Google's attention. And so we had regular meetings with Google hierarchy and engineers and folks like that in order to be able to continue to optimize. And I learned so much. And naturally, we made some mistakes, and I had a good person that I was working with at World Golf Tour. But that was a really, really fun growth prospect. And then it reached the stage where they brought someone inside.
Right.
So I was with them for 4 or 5 years. But still, I keep in touch with the founder. He's brought me into a couple other businesses, and you just kind of build your network out for what you're doing. So that was definitely one of the highlights there. And honestly, I think what I'm doing now, evolving from an individual contributor working out of a bedroom in my house, which I've done for 19 years, and starting to build a team, is the next thing that I'm really proud of, is to be able to have folks that also want to come to work, that see the vision, that enjoy what they're doing, they see a learning path, they can be compensated fairly for what they do, and it helps them as well. So I think that's 2 really big highlights for me.
Yeah, and it's rewarding when you can do something like that. It just feels all worthwhile, I think.
Yeah, and I try to keep my pulse, my finger on the pulse, and say, how are you doing? I can't help you if you're not going to tell me.
Yeah.
And they're like, I really like it. I really like what I'm doing. I'm enjoying myself. It's hard sometimes, but they feel they get the support. They feel that they're doing something worthwhile for their clients, and they're growing. And so that's really rewarding for me to be able to hear them say that.